Hi guys, Vivian's here, straight from Cebu. I love you, baby.
Retiring in the Philippines. What are the deal breakers? And what I mean by deal breakers are what is it about living in the Philippines that you may not be able to totally stand? And I think it begins with a self-assessment. First, we have to look at ourselves and determine what kind of person am I? What kind of person are you? Are you the kind of person that says, has a negative attitude, everything sucks, I can't stand this, I can't stand that, blah, blah, blah. If you are, then you're probably, if you're going to be honest with yourself, you're probably best just to stay home in your home country. There's a lot of getting used to, a lot of things to get used to when you're moving to any foreign country, not just the Philippines, but anywhere. If you think about places in South America, well, if you're not a Spanish speaker, then you're going to have the language to overcome. So fortunately, in the Philippines, most everybody speaks some English, but remember, it's not their first language. Their first language in Cebu is Cebuano. And in Luzon, it's going to be Tagalog. So you do need to understand that there's going to be a change, and things are going to be a bit different for you in the Philippines than they are here in the States or anywhere in the West, in the UK, Australia, whatever. Things are different. The fact is, no matter where you go in the world, you are always going to be with you. So whatever you bring to the table, your personality, whether you're negative or positive, whether you can roll with the punches or you can, or you absolutely resent everything or you don't, you bring that with you. So I really believe that before you make a decision to retire, especially in the Philippines or anywhere outside of your home country, that you do a self-assessment, that you really honestly look at yourself and say, what can I take? What can I what things can I tolerate? What things can I not tolerate? And make that assessment first before you move. The second step, I think, would be to make short trips first. Book a 2-week vacation and fly to the Philippines and check it out. There are things, some of my observations, people still just throw trash on the street. It's dirty. The beaches, especially near the big cities in Cebu, Talisay, Minglanilla even, raw sewage runs down the rivers and into the Cebu Strait, and I see family and other people out there swimming in that stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm not getting in that water. And it's dirty and polluted, and a lot of it is that way. And if you can't stand that, if you can't deal with that, then you're probably not a good candidate to be retiring in the Philippines. That's not to say that everything in the Philippines is that way. As a matter of fact, when Vivian and I went to Bohol, to Alona Beach, it was absolutely beautiful. The water was pristine and clear. The same in Oslab when we went there. It's beautiful. So it depends on what you need. But if you need to stay near the city because, say, you need medical facilities close by or whatever, then you're going to have to deal with that aspect of Philippine society. If you don't, and if you're in fairly good health and you can live out away from the city in some of the more beautiful places, then you can enjoy those pristine beaches. And that's your call. And once again, it goes back to doing that self-assessment. Look at yourself and decide what it is that you really can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. You need to make those decisions first before you pull the trigger on whether or not you're going to retire in the Philippines. It's the can I live with it or can I not live with it? Language is also a consideration. Yes, in the Philippines, most people do speak some English, but it's not their first language. Vivian's language is Cebuano. She speaks Cebuano, and to all her neighbors and friends and everyone around, they all speak in Cebuano to each other. I'm just starting to learn a little bit of Cebuano. I'm getting around. That reminds me of a. That reminds me of a. I think it was my very first trip to Cebu. Yeah, it was. It was my very first trip. We were staying at the Tune Hotel in Cebu City, and that first morning we went to the 7-Eleven down on the first floor. There's a 7-Eleven next to the hotel. We went in to get a cup of coffee, and I said good morning to the security guard, and not understanding that Vivian and I had just met for the first time, he said to me, he goes, "Well, why hasn't your wife taught you some Cebuano?" Well, you know, it's kind of premature, but he didn't know that. And so I said, well, the next time I come back, I'll be able to say good morning to you, you know, so maayong buntag. That's another one where you got to look inside yourself. Are you willing to learn some of the language? If not, then you're going to be behind the eight ball in terms of understanding what people around you are saying and what they mean and things like that. So what are your deal breakers? You know, you have to look at that. And once again, it all comes back inside. You got to look at yourself. What is your temperament? What can you tolerate? What can you not tolerate? It could be things that, you know, just having the right tools or being able to find things. And not everything is as available in the Philippines as it is in the U.S. or elsewhere in the West. Ironically, the flip side of that is true too. I remember back in January of this year, Vivian and I, we had rented an apartment in Minglanilla, and we were staying there. And I love my coffee. For me, I got to have my coffee in the morning. Now, I'm very anal about what kind of, I like freshly ground, you know, whole bean. I take the whole beans, I grind them, and I brew my coffee in the morning, and I love that. And I had found, and in the Philippines, they grow some really good and roast some really good coffee. And I had found some coffee that I absolutely loved, but I could not find a bean grinder anywhere, nowhere to be found. So I ended up improvising and taking a bowl and a bottle and grinding it myself like a mortar and pestle. I would grind the beans myself in the morning to make my coffee. So look inside yourself, determine if you are flexible enough, if you are not so set in your ways that you can adapt to living in a new society and a new culture where things are going to be different. They're going to be different, guys. And look at that and decide for yourself. And once again, like I said, make a few trips. It doesn't hurt you to just take a vacation and fly there, check it out for yourself. You know, see, can you get used to the trash on the streets? And you're going to see a guy walk up to a wall somewhere and just whip out his penis and start urinating, okay? It's very commonplace in the Philippines and something that will draw the ire of individuals here in the U.S. So these kind of things, these little cultural differences and things like that are something that you'll need to get used to if you're going to live in the Philippines. But you can make that decision if you start exposing yourself to it. So small trips at first, a couple of weeks here, a couple of weeks there, and after a while, you'll be able to determine whether or not you can tolerate living there full time. So there you go, guys. Up there is that subscribe button. Please click the subscribe button. We'd love to have you join us. Feel free to leave any comments in the comments section below, as long as they're appropriate. We'll answer you back. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.